Cancer is one of the scariest things that can happen to a person, and unfortunately almost everybody knows somebody who is diagnosed with it. But did you guys know there are over 200 types of cancer? Naturally, some of these are a lot more common than others, but those aren't the ones that I'm going to be talking about today. I'm going to be talking about some of the more rare cancers that people actually have. And I know right now a family member of mine is dealing with cancer, stage 4 cancer. It's pretty upsetting. I can't believe that so many years have gone by and there is still no cure to cancer. This just shows you the complexity that cancer is. I mean, there's ways to slow it down, but a lot of these cancers, when they become stage 4 cancers, a lot of them just aren't curable. Well, how's it going, YouTube? Welcome back to another Most Amazing Top 10 video. I am your host for this one, Landon Dowlitsing, and I am so glad you guys clicked on this video, and I just want to say thank you guys so much for the recent success on this channel. We are gaining over 10,000 subscribers a day, which is absolutely insane. It's so humbling, and we're getting over 2 to 3 million views a day. You guys are absolutely insane. I just want to give you guys appreciation for that, and I love every single one of you guys. I love this journey that we've been on for many years on YouTube. And you know what? Here's a toast for the next, let's say 10 years of YouTube, because I'm not going anywhere. All right, let's get right into this list. This is the top 10 scary rare cancers. Starting off this list off, in at number 10, we have hyalinizing clear cell carcinoma. This cancer is so rare that only 51 cases have ever been reported worldwide, with the first being reported in the mid-1990s. It affects areas of the mouth, specifically the salivary glands, tongue, and palate. It largely only affects women and thankfully has a high survivability rate, although exact percentages aren't known at this time. Next up, number 9 is hairy cell leukemia. This is a type of blood cancer that occurs when your bone marrow begins making too many white blood cells, and it usually affects middle-aged men. These extra B cells or white blood cells look hairy under a microscope, which honestly helps a lot to explain the name, hairy cell leukemia. Thankfully, hairy cell leukemia is a slow-growing cancer, so even though it often never entirely disappears, patients who have been either diagnosed with it can go on into remission for years. Taking number 8 spot on this list, THYMIC carcinoma. This cancer affects the thymus gland, which sits between the lungs. Honestly, I don't think I even know where that gland is. It is treatable, but because it's only usually found in its advanced stages, due to the lack of observable symptoms, the survivability rate is only between 30 and 50%. So it's about 1 or 2 people will survive. This aggressive cancer only affects roughly 1.5 per million in the US, so it is super rare, but the worldwide numbers are not known. And at number 7 is EWINGS sarcoma. The cancer largely only impacts young people between the ages of 10 and 20 years old, and it is incredibly rare to develop it past the age of 25. It is a type of bone cancer usually affecting the pelvis, femur, humerus, ribs, jaw, or collarbone. I mean, it sounds terrible. It is thankfully treatable, and if it is localized, the 5-year survivability rate is around 70%, but if it metastasizes, the survivability rate drops to 30%. Coming in number 6, we have primary cardiac tumor. This type of cancer is particularly rare because cancers usually form where cells divide, but heart cells, well, they don't divide. They don't do that. The top hospitals in the world have only reported treating only 1 to 2 cases of it per year, which means the primary cardiac tumors account for less than 1% of all cardiac tumors. Unfortunately, the chance of a patient's survival past the 5-year mark with this cancer is only about 17%. Halfway through this list, number 5, we have KAPOSIS sarcoma. This type of cancer usually develops in the lining of blood vessels and lymph vessels and can originate at multiple different locations in the body at the same time, as opposed to it spreading outward from one location. It is caused by a type of herpes virus called HHV8. HHV8 doesn't always create KAPOSIS sarcoma, but it is more likely to in immunocompromised people, especially those who have HIV. Depending on where it spreads, this type of cancer can be fatal, but it can usually be treated with a combination of antiviral drugs and chemotherapy. Number 4, we have retinoblastoma. This is a rare type of cancer that develops in the retina and almost exclusively found in young children. The average age is around 2 years old. I mean, that's way too young for anyone to have cancer. And you know what? I hate that anyone has cancer. Almost everyone who is diagnosed with this cancer survives as long as it stays contained in just the eye. I know that sounds pretty terrifying. I mean, they may lose vision in that affected eye or have the eye removed completely just to try to remove the cancer entirely. entirely. While this is the most common form of eye cancer in children, overall, it only accounts for just 2% of all childhood cancers, making it incredibly rare. Number 3, we have SIGNET ring cell carcinoma. This aggressive cancer usually occurs in the stomach, but can sometimes spread to the breast, bladder, gallbladder, or pancreas. SRCC, which is short, it accounts for less than 1% of all colorectal cancers, which makes it very rare. Unfortunately, SRCC is usually diagnosed in the late stages, making chemo relatively ineffective and leaving the survival rate as low as 9%. So that's about 1 in 10 people will survive. Our number 2 slot goes to male breast cancer. Yes, males can get breast cancer. It is possible. While breast cancer itself is quite common, male breast cancer accounts for only 1% of all occurrences due to the much lower amount of breast tissues that men have. It usually only affects older men, with the average age of, people being diagnosed being 68 years old. The good news is, if it's caught early, the survival rate is 84%. Rounding up this list, number 1, we have LINITIS, PLASTICA of the stomach. This type of cancer affects the lining of the stomach, making it thick and rigid, which affects digestion. It also limits the stomach's ability to move and stretch as it gets full and digests. I can't even imagine how uncomfortable that would be, getting a cramp or upset stomach from eating too much too quickly. I mean, that's bad enough for me, and I suffer. I can't imagine going through something like this. Usually this cancer spreads before diagnosis, making surgery impossible for many cases. Unfortunately, this means that the survivability rate for this is only between 3 and 10%. Well, there you guys have it. That was the top 10 rarest cancers that exist. Which one of these did you find the most interesting? Well, I was your host for this one, Landon Dowd, saying thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you all in the next most amazing top 10 video. Bye.